Welcome and good afternoon. This is Kamish Orr, and today we have an potential elimination matchup in my Best of the Decades tournament, the 1960s, using season ticket baseball. That's right. Today it is the game between the 1964 Chicago White Sox and the 1968 Detroit Tigers. The White Sox are up 2 games to none after 2 games in which they pretty much held the Detroit offense in check. And so Detroit is hoping to bounce back. However, the series has shifted to Chicago. That's right. The first 2 games lost were in Detroit, and now we're in Chicago as the Tigers hope to avoid elimination. This is in the losers bracket, and if the Tigers should lose this game, they are out of the tournament altogether. If we look at the other matchups, we can see the 61 Yankees and the 69 Orioles are tied at a game apiece. The 60 Pirates and the 62 Giants are tied at a game apiece, and the 68 Cardinals and 63 Dodgers are tied at a game apiece. So I thought this would be a good one to play, even though if Detroit happens to win it, it won't result in any elimination or anything like that. As always, you can head over to baseballmaelstrom.com if you want to follow the action, if you want to see the stats. You can see the stats. You can see other projects that I have going on as well there, all in one place. So that's where we stand, folks. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups. Leading off for Detroit and playing second base is Dick McAuliffe. Batting second in center field is Mickey Stanley. Jim Northrup in right field batting third. In the cleanup spot in left field is Willie Horton. Bill Freehan is catching and batting fifth. Al Kaline is batting sixth in the DH spot. Batting seventh is Norm Cash playing first base. Don Wirt will be at third base in the number 8 spot, and Dick Tracewski will be playing shortstop and batting ninth. Yes, I am using DH for all teams in this, so just something to note. Pitching for the Tigers in this potential elimination game is Mickey Lolich, and he has one start already I think he lost that start, but he has an ERA of 3, so I think he pitched 6 innings, allowed 2 earned runs, but still lost that start in his only other appearance in the tournament so far. For the home team, Chicago White Sox, leading off in center field will be Jim Landis. Batting second at second base, Al Weiss. Floyd Robinson in left field batting third. Moose Skowron will be at first base in the cleanup spot. Pete Ward playing third base, batting fifth. Ron Hansen playing shortstop and batting sixth. Dave Nicholson will be DHing today in the number 7 spot. Mike Hirschberger in right field and batting eighth. And finally, Jerry McNertney will be catching and batting ninth. And on the mound for the White Sox is Juan Pizarro. I believe he has 3 starts. He's 1-1, and his ERA is 3.91, I believe, or somewhere around there. So that's where we are, folks. That's to start the game. By the way, did some checking on the weather here at Comiskey Park, 1964 Comiskey Park. It is a day game, and we see a roll of 15 here added to the 59 here. 74 degrees, beautiful day for baseball. An 8 means that it's clear skies, and a 10 means there's no noticeable wind in today's game that will affect anything. So, a beautiful day for this Game 3 of the best-of-5 series between these two teams. Detroit hoping to fight their way back, while the White Sox are going to hope to eliminate Detroit and move on in the tournament. So we're ready for the first pitch here from Juan Pizarro. He will dish to Dick McAuliffe. 474, and McAuliffe lifts this one to left field. A little deep, but Robinson will have room here and hauls it in for out number 1. Mickey Stanley, he's only hit 172 in the tournament. 573, this is another one to left field. Robinson will have an easy time with this one. And it's 2 straight outs here, both to Robinson. Jim Northrup, he is hitting 276 on the tournament. And we have a Stadium check, 639, which won't be anything. And this time it is a fly ball to center field, and Landis will be under this one. 3 straight flyouts here to start off the game for Detroit, but nothing doing. We head to the bottom of the first, and Jim Landis steps in for Chicago. He's hitting 250. Lolich deals 159, and he struck him out. Strikeout here to lead things off. Good start to the game here for Lolich. And that brings up Al Weiss. Weiss is hitting is 5 for 10 in the tournament so far. 365. And this one's grounded to second. McAuliffe, easy play to cash for out number 2. Floyd Robinson. Robinson, who took a couple of fly balls there in the first inning, steps in. 132 will become a 332, and this one is popped up in foul territory near the third base line, and Wirt will be under this one. And so we have another 1-2-3 inning here. So we head to the top of the second. Quiet game so far, but still early, as Willie Horton will step in against Juan Pizarro. 636, that's another stadium check, and that will be a pop-up on the infield. And Hansen will have this one. 1 down. Bill Freehan will step in. He's at 320 and has 3 homers, so very dangerous hitter here for Detroit, hoping to get things going. 245, though. That's not going to do it, as he strikes him out. Pizarro's first strikeout of the day here. And it comes against probably the top hitter on the Tigers, Al Kaline. Kaline has struggled in the tournament. He's 2 for 22 and doesn't have much to show for his at-bats. And he lifts one deep to center. Landis will be back near the warning track, but he has room, and that will be out number 3. So another clean inning here for Pizarro. We head to the bottom of the second. Moose Skowron steps in. 635 becomes a 645 for the home team. And Skowron grounds this one to first. Cash will take it to the bag himself. 1 down. Pete Ward. Ward hitting 286. White Sox had a play-in series, so they tend to have a little bit more, they played more games than most of the other teams because of that play-in series. This one's going to be a deep drive to right. 7 plus 9 is 16. Probably not high enough, but it's on the border there. No. Deep drive to right. And Northrup will actually haul this one in. It looked good coming off the bat, but didn't quite have the distance. Ward did hit 23 homers that year, so he is a power threat, but couldn't quite get all of that one. That brings up Ron Hansen. 475. And this is another deep drive. This one to center. Back near the wall, but Stanley will haul this one in. And it's another 1-2-3 inning. We head to the top of the third. Still looking for our first base runner in this game. Norm Cash will be at the plate. 297. That's going to be a deep drive. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Deep to right. 15 plus 9 is a 24. That's got to be out of here, right? Cash gets all of this one. It's back. It's deep, and it is gone. Home run for Norm Cash. That is his second home run of the tournament. And Detroit draws first blood here in Game 3. So that's a 24. It's a 240. That's 430 plus the die roll. So that one was a 430 plus 16. 446. 446-foot home run there, folks. No doubt about that one. Don Wirt steps in. 617. And he struck him out. Pizarro rebounds from that home run mistake. Strikes out Wirt. That brings up Tracewski, who is the number 9 hitter. 485. And that's another deep drive, this time to right. But Hirschberger will be there for this one. And then 2 down now. Does get us back to the top of the order. 336. And he struck him out. 2 strikeouts here in this inning. 3 on the game for Pizarro. So Pizarro makes a mistake here to Norm Cash. And Detroit gets on the board first. It takes a 1-0 lead here into the bottom of the 3rd. Dave Nicholson will step in against Mickey Lolich here. 481. And he struck him out. It's 2 strikeouts now for Lolich in this game. Mike Hirschberger. Hirschberger is batting .257 in the tournament. And that's a fly ball to center. It would have been a strikeout for a lot of people. I got excited, but he flies this one to center field. Stanley has to make a running catch, but he is able to catch up with it, and that's out number 2. McNertney steps in, the number 9 hitter. 421, and he grounds this one to short. Easy play for Tracewski, and Lolich has made it through the White Sox lineup without allowing a base runner so far. We head to the top of the 4th. Detroit hoping to build on their lead. Mickey Stanley first. And strike 3 called. The ball does get by Freehand, but he will be able to throw to first and beat Stanley there for out number 1. Jim Northrup. And Northrup grounds this one to second. Weiss with an easy play over to Skowron for out number 2. And Pizarro strikes out Willie Horton. That's the 5th strikeout now for Pizarro. Low offensive game so far. Top of the Chicago lineup, though. Let's see if Lolich can have just as much success this time around. Tracewski, a ground ball to Tracewski, and this one he won't be able to get there as that one's a single into the outfield here. 5, yes. Yes, that'd be a base hit. So Landis will not take a chance here. Brings up Al Weiss, and Weiss, since his bunt is an 8, contact and power of a 5, he will try to sacrifice here. 15, 23, so 15 plus the bunt is a 23. I'm sure that will be high enough. 23. Yes. Great bunt laid down. Wirt's only play will be to first. And he throws to Cash, but does move Landis up. Weiss's sacrifice does move Landis up to second base. So the White Sox, with limited success so far against Lolich, get a runner into scoring position, trying to do what they can here. Floyd Robinson steps in. 285. This is another deep drive. Deep to right, but not going to be deep enough. That's a 12. 8 plus 4 is a 12. Deep right 12. And that is an easy play for Northrup. Landis holds at second. Skowron is only hitting 214. And 636, that's not going to be anything. 636 for the home team. He pops this one up on the infield. And Tracewski will make up for the fact that he couldn't couldn't grab that first grounder. And that ends the inning. We head to the top of the 5th. Detroit still with a 1-0 lead here. And that's a 6:26, which is going to be another pop-up, this time to second base, and Weiss will be under it for out number 1. Pizarro, one mistake so far, but a costly one. And he catches K-Line looking here for strike number 3. It's the 6th strikeout for Pizarro. Norm Cash, who hit that monster home run in his last at-bat. Oh boy. Chance at another one, but deep right field, 4 + 9 is a 13. There's another, it'll look good off the bat, but Hirschberger will have an easy play at this one. Another 1-2-3 inning. Cash was had some big eyes looking at that one. That brings up Pete Ward here to lead off the 5th. By the way, Alolich has a stamina of 5, but not that that'll come into play if he keeps pitching the way he's going. Ward grounds this one right to Wirt, Easy play to first for out number 1. Bringing up Ron Hansen. 379. This is another grounder to Wirt, and Wirt airmails this one over first base. That will be a 2-base error, as Hansen will get to second on the bad throw. So the White Sox are able to get a guy in scoring position again on that mistake. Dave Nicholson trying to capitalize on it. 153, struck him out. It's just the 3rd strikeout for Lolich here. Hirschberger with a bonus out this inning. 210 becomes a 410, and he draws a walk, a 2-out walk here for Hirschberger. Just the 3rd base runner here for Chicago. And Jerry McNertney hoping to keep things going, get things back around to the top of the order. 205 becomes a 405, and he draws a walk. Bases are now loaded with 2 down. Jim Landis, who had the only White Sox base hit so far this game. 339, and he strikes him out. What an at-bat here to end the 5th inning. Lolich did exactly what he needed to do. Landis fought a little bit on it, but in the end, Lolich is able to get out of the inning. We head to the top of the 6th. Still 1-0 here. Wirt coming in to face Pizarro. Pizarro has a stamina of 6. Again, not that it's going to matter if these guys keep pitching the way they're going. 363. And this is popped up in foul territory near the first base line. Skowron with room. 1 down. Trasuski flies this one to left. Robinson barely had to move on this one. Easy play. Does get him back to the top of the order. Dick McCullough steps in, 158. And this is a fly ball to center. Landis ranging back. And he makes the easy play. And once again, a 1-2-3 inning here in the 6th. All right, Al Weiss. White Sox have had a couple of opportunities. Weiss flies this one to Stanley in center. An easy play, though. So far, most balls have been hit right to the fielder. 208 becomes a 408, and Robinson draws a walk. It's the third walk now for Lolich, who's shown a little struggle with control here in the last couple of innings. Robinson's not going anywhere. Skowron. Lolich deals. Skowron gets a hold of one, and this one's deep and gone. Deep to left field, into the seats, and the White Sox have taken a 2-1 lead on a bad pitch from Lolich. That walk ended up hurting him here. Pete Ward steps in, hoping to continue things. 641 becomes a 651. The crowd is going crazy out there. They're still not quieting down. McAuliffe throws over to first for out number 2. All right. Crowd's relaxing a little bit. And Lolich strikes out Hansen in the 6th inning. But not before just his second hit allowed of the game, and it's a big one as Skowron hits his first homer of the tournament. Skowron hits his first homer of the tournament to put Chicago up 2-1. The way these guys have been pitching, any little bit helps. We head to the 7th. Juan Pizarro deals against Stanley. And Stanley flies this one to Landis. Landis moves a little bit, but easy play. Jim Northrup. Let's see. This is a deep to right 11. Deep right 11. Ooh, deep right 11. That was close. Hirschberger has to track this one down and makes a running catch. That ball was in the gap, but Hirschberger gets a hold of it for out number 2. And Pizarro will strike out Horton here to end the 7th. Wow, Pizarro has allowed just one base runner, and that base runner was the Norm Cash home run. He's been dominant otherwise. So we head to the 7th inning, bottom of the 7th. 7th inning stretch time, folks. Detroit, let's take a look. 1 run on 1 hit and 1 error. The White Sox, 2 runs on 2 hits and no errors. Now, Lolich has 2 levels of fatigue. Oh, no, actually, I play the rule where if they have a shutout going, they get an extra inning on stamina. So, when the shutout ended here, he would have been subject to fatigue, but he hasn't allowed a base runner since then. So he is subject to fatigue, but has none currently. So, Lolich facing the bottom of the White Sox order. 390. Ooh, boy, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. That was near the middle of the plate, but Nicholson gets on top of it and grounds it to third. Wirt over to first for the first out. Nicholson had struck out his prior 2 at-bats. He had a real shot there, but wasn't able to make good contact with it. Hirschberger, 246. And Hirschberger flies this one to center. And Stanley will make the play. 2 down. Couple of key walks last time these guys were at bat. McNertney, he laces this one in for a base hit. 2-out single, excuse me, here for McNertney. It gets them back to the top of the order. Landis. It's 1 level of fatigue now for Lolich. Landis will fly this one to right, though. And Northrup will end the inning here. So, through 7 innings, the White Sox holding on to a 2-1 lead. Detroit will need to get something going here. They only have 6 more at-bats or 6 more outs to do it, or their tournament is over. But here's a guy that could do it right here with Bill Freehan. 364. But Freehan grounds this one to third. Ward over to Skowron. 1 down. That brings up Kaline. 435. And this one's a grounder right to Hansen near the second base bag. He was shading him. Well, he wouldn't have been shading him that way. So probably a grounder up the middle that Hansen was able to get to. And that's 2 down. Norm Cash. Rare play. A rare play. What is going to happen here? 315. 315. 315. Batter walks on a close pitch. Catcher is ejected for arguing with the umpire. That catcher is McNertney. So, McNertney gets into a heated argument with the umpire here, and he's tossed from the game. He's tossed from the game. That is only the second base runner for Detroit. So, taking a look at J.C. Martin will be coming in to catch for the White Sox. J.C. Martin. And he will also, of course, come into McNertney's spot in the batting order. All right. Well, interesting turn of events here. Norm Cash draws the 2-out walk. Don Wirt. See who else the Detroit has, if anybody, on the bench. These teams don't have a lot of great hitting players on the bench. Wirt is really, I mean, marginal. Eddie Matthews. Eddie Matthews would be a good choice. Though you'd have some lefty-on-lefty action there. Maybe better for him to come in to bat for Trasuski in the 9th. So Don Wirt will be allowed to hit. 238 wouldn't have mattered. Wouldn't have mattered as Wirt grounds this one to third. Ward over to first to end the inning. So through 8, the White Sox, thanks to a 2-run homer by Skowron in the 6th, have a 2-1 lead. Lolich does have 1 level of fatigue. They leave him in. He's pitched pretty well. Both of these pitchers have pitched great today. Lolich has allowed a couple of walks, though, these last couple of innings. But he will face Weiss to lead off the 8th inning here. 657. This becomes a 677 because it's +1 for home and another +1 or +10 for home, +10 for the level of fatigue. But Weiss grounds this one back to the mound, and Lolich is able to scoop it up and throw him out at first. Brings up Floyd Robinson, who drew that walk, that key walk in the 6th. 684. This one's not going to be as pleasant. That becomes a 704, which is going to be deep to center. 9. Robinson doesn't have a lot of power. 13. Deep center field 13. And Stanley will be under this one for out number 2. So not able to capitalize on that. And that brings up Skowron, who had the monster home run. Monster meaning put them in the lead. 484. This one's another deep drive to center. Stanley's back on the warning track, but Skowron can't repeat. That'll be the third out. We head to the ninth, folks, and this is it. This is it. It all comes down to this. And let's see what we're looking at for Detroit. Tracewski actually is a 156 hitter. That's horrible. He's done very well, though, in the tournament, surprisingly. But I think if we're going to pinch hit for somebody, it's got to be him. It's got to be him. He is 0 for 2 today. And so, Eddie Matthews. This is a 36-year-old Eddie Matthews, folks, so don't get too excited. He only hit .212 that year. And only had 52 at bats, so the declining part of his career. But he is better than Tracewski, who hit 156 that year. So, do or die, Matthews will come in to pinch hit here in the ninth and face Pizarro, who does have one level of fatigue. Actually, yes, he does. Yes, he does. I was going to say, I thought he doesn't have a shutout going because of that Norm Cash homer. So, Pizarro deals 428. And he struck him out. Matthews strikes out here. Very big at bat there to lead off the ninth. And it wouldn't have mattered. Tracewski would have grounded out anyway. So we're back to the top of the order. Dick McCullough, who on paper doesn't look too bad, but in the tournament has not hit well at all, a 125 hitter. But hopes to get something going here against Pizarro. 681, that's going to be something, I think. 690, that becomes a 691 because of this walk. 691, and that's going to be a base hit. So, Detroit gets a runner on with that base hit. Now, that's the interesting thing here, folks. McCullough has some speed. And you know what? We got to stick with the auto manager, folks. Auto manager says only steal after, never steal if the batting team trails by 2 or more runs in the 8th inning or later. Well, they don't trail by 2 or more runs. It's a 1-run game. And steal attempt with a runner on first and 1 out. Maybe. Speed equals or exceeds catcher's arm, which it does not. But the D20 roll was a 3, which is less than a steal of a 4. And so that says to me, Detroit is going to take the risk. So, challenge, and he's going to get thrown out here, folks. What a way to go. 5 plus speed is only an 8. Only an 8. Well, wait. He has to try to get a lead. 5 plus steal. Okay, he's not going to get a lead anyway. 5 plus steal is a 9. His hold is a 17. So, never mind. Never mind. Got ahead of myself. So he does not, he was thinking about stealing, does not get a good lead, and therefore Mickey Stanley comes up with 1 down and a runner on first. 241, that's going to end it, folks. Wow. Ground ball to Ward. Ward to Weiss to Skowron around the horn. Game-ending double play here. 5-4-3. And just like that, the Detroit Tigers are eliminated from the Best of the 60s tournament. Player of the game honors. Well, Skowron had the big 2-run homer, but folks, Juan Pizarro. Juan Pizarro was 19-9 that year with a 2.56 ERA, and he pitched the game of his life here today. Oh, it's not a shutout or anything. But look at this. 1 hit allowed through the first 8 innings of this game. Just 2 base runners allowed through the first 8 innings of this game. Pizarro allows just 1 run on 2 hits while striking out 6, 7, 8, and strikes out 8 as the Tigers have a very disappointing end to their postseason run. Now let's take a look at the last 2 games, just for fun. In game 1 of the series, the Detroit Tigers got shut out by Joe Horlin. A 3-hitter, folks. A 3-hitter. They got beat in game 1, 1-0. They got beat in game 1, 1-0. And that 1 run came on a sac fly in the 8th inning, after Mike Hirschberger walked and stole second, moved to third on a ground out, and scored on a sac fly. That was the only run in game 1. Let's look at game 2. I think you're going to be very surprised to see this. Game 2. The Tigers, Gary Peters, held the Tigers to 4 hits in game 2. They scored a run. On Jim Northrup's solo homer in the 1st inning. But they get beat 3-1 in game 2. McLean in this one. So the whole story of this series is the Tigers' lack of offense. 9 hits combined, 9 total hits in 3 games, and only 2 runs. 2 runs on 9 hits in 3 games. And so with that, the Tigers are out of it. So let's head back here, take a look at the bracket. And so Detroit is eliminated, and the White Sox advance. They will face the loser of the Yankees and Orioles game, or Yankees and Orioles series, excuse me. The Yankees-Orioles series. So whoever loses that series will face the White Sox in the loser's bracket. All right, folks. Wow. Detroit, I don't know what to say. Talk about an offensive collapse. Pitching was good. The White Sox themselves only scored 6 runs in the series. But, wow, what a series. So, very interesting. The 1964, by the way, number 5 seeded White Sox will advance in the elimination bracket. And that's where we will leave things. As I mentioned, if you want to follow the action, head over to baseballmaelstrom.com. I do a little write-up on every game for all of my projects. And so if you head over to the 1960s tourney page, you can see this one. I've done the 1930s and the 1990s. Both of those tournaments, I've completed those. We're on the 1960s right now. I also have a Payoff Pitch League, the Pops League, and we are in Season 2 of that league. It's a Hall of Fame league. So check that out if you're curious. And that's where we leave things. As I said, thanks again for watching. Until next time, have a great evening.